July 2008. Councillor Mail reported no problems, and the allotment inspection would be either on the 1st or the 8th of August. On Monday the 11th of August, the allotment inspection had still not taken place. Mr. Poll visited Councillor Mail at his house, and during the conversation asked Councillor Mail when Mr. Palmer's fence would be coming down. At the council meeting of that evening, Councillor Mail asked if the allotment inspection could be delayed until September. At the meeting of September, Councillor Mail confirmed that the allotment inspection had been done, and the report would be at the October meeting. October 2008, Councillor Mail advised that the allotment inspection report had been circulated, and members resolved that letters be sent where necessary. In the report, Councillor Mail repeated his allegation of the previous year. Mr. Poll has intruded upon private land belonging to Mr. Buxton. The report also stated, letter already sent to the Crown. The land Mr. Poll rents is in a bad state. Letter required re-tidying of land. Daffodil bulbs have been left in the ground, not harvested. Surely he is aware that daffodils can be left in the ground for more than 1 year. The report finished. Council, however, need to spray the edges. The spraying of the edges is something that the parish council has never done. It's something that Mr. Poll does, a matter mentioned in the letter sent to Councillor Hutchinson. So did Councillor Hutchinson give a copy of the letter to Councillor Mail? But the report made no mention of the dumping that was going on the Crownfield Bank allotments. It was reported that there would be a site meeting with Carter Jonas to sort out boundary disputes with the Holbeach Bank playing field. Mr. Poll suggested that while Mr. Bramley was there, that they sorted out the boundary problem with the fence on Crownfield Bank. A few days after the meeting took place, Mr. Poll spoke to Councillor Harrington at the council offices. He asked what had happened regarding the fence, to be told that Mr. Bramley did not want to go there and look at it, and had told councillors that they should not worry, that he would take care of the tenant. After meeting with councillors, Mr. Bramley put a letter in Mr. Poll's letterbox informing him to quit his holding. Mr. Poll received a letter from the clerk informing him that if his allotments at Crownfield Bank were not tidied, the council would serve him a notice to quit. Mr. Poll also had allotments on the Basses allotments. Some of these allotments were planted with daffodils, planted at the same time as Crownfield, cultivated the same as Crownfield, and in the same condition as Crownfield. But there was not a problem with these allotments. But there was not a boundary problem on Basses allotment. November, Councillor Mail reported there were no matters outstanding. Also in November, Mr. Poll's farm suffered its third arson attack of the year. This was subsequently reported on the front page of the local paper, in which Mr. Poll stated that he was quitting farming. There was no incidents to report to the police then until after the April council meeting, when the allotment boundary was raised. December, Councillor Warrender had not been at the council meeting in October and stated in the meeting that he did not accept the allotment inspection report. Councillor Mail was not at the meeting. At the January meeting, Councillor Warrender advised that parts of the allotment report in 2008 was a duplicate of 2007. Councillor Mail agreed that the intruding by Mr. Poll should be removed. Was it in the report to assist in getting a vote to get a notice to quit served on Mr Poll. Councillor Warrender drawed the council's attention to the requirement of planning permission, that the allotment roadway was agricultural. This was now in Mr Palmer's garden, which was residential, and there should have been change of use. Council agreed to report the matter to South Holland District Council. Councillor Harrington reported that the Crown had attended a meeting in October 2008 and were requested to measure the let land. Members agreed the clerk should chase up. February. The clerk reported that she had written to Carter Jonas to see if they wished to measure the allotments, but had not had a reply. Members agreed the clerk chase this up, and suggesting the council will arrange and forward the bill to Carter Jonas. March. The clerk reported that she had received a reply from Carter Jonas remeasuring the allotments, and they would bring a tape measure when next in the area. At the council meeting of April 2009, Mr Poll raised a question to the chairman, Councillor Harrington, in the open forum. Mr Poll repeated what he had been told by Mr Bramley in 2005 and 2006, that the only reason that Mr Bramley had given permission for Mr Palmer to erect a fence on the allotment roadway at the rear of his property was that he had told Mr Bramley that he wanted to put his fence in line with his neighbours, which had been agreed by his boss Tim Jones. Both the parish council and Mr Poll had got letters and plans saying that this was not the boundary where Mr Hicks's fence was, and what was said to Mr Bramley appeared to amount to deception, and that the council could not support deception. This was agreed by Councillor Harrington. The council minutes stated, advised of no progress with the Crown over remeasuring, which the chairman has agreed to follow up as discussed in the open forum. May. The clerk reported that a letter had been sent to Carter Jonas re the Crown allotments being remeasured. June 2009. Councillor Harrington reported that he and Councillor Arthur Mayle had met with Richard Bramley of Carter Jonas regarding the Crown allotments at Holbeach Bank. Mr Bramley was shown the problem, and he gave assurances that the parish council would receive a new lease within 3 to 4 weeks. Members agreed that the parish council await the new paperwork and see what difference there was, and then decide what to do. At the council meeting in July, Mr Poll was aware that no letter had been received from Richard Bramley, so he raised the question in the open forum and suggested to the council that the clerk should be instructed to write, which was agreed by Councillor Harrington, and subsequently in the meeting the councillors agreed to that course of action. On the morning of the 10th of August, Mr Poll went into the council offices and spoke to the deputy clerk, who informed him that no letter had arrived from Mr Bramley, but the vice chair had spoke to him on the phone and was waiting a fax or an email. Mr Poll informed the deputy clerk that he would like to speak in the open forum at that evening's meeting, but due to the previous bad weather, several local residents attended and the open forum extended to 7:20. The August meeting was supposed to be a short meeting, so when invited to speak, Mr Poll declined, stating those reasons. The chair then turned to Councillor Harrington and raised the matter that was raised in the previous open forum. Councillor Harrington reported that he had spoken to Richard Bramley on the phone and that a letter had been posted, but there was a postal strike. Mr Bramley had sent a fax, and the fax stated that due to internal change at the drawing office, it was hoped that the draft would be at hand before the end of the month. Members agreed to await the outcome. Councillor Mayle presented the allotment inspection report, which was accepted by the council. The Crownfield Bank part of the report contained a question mark on the size of the plot, and the land Mr. Pole rents is in a bad state. Letter required retidying of land. Appears not to be growing crops. The ground is overgrown. Rubbish at entranceway needs spraying. But nothing about the fence that's been erected. Nothing about the rubbish being chucked over the fences onto the allotments. But the entranceway was in Mr. Palmer's garden. The entranceway he's referring to was the Bass allotment entranceway, which adjoined the Crownfield Bank allotments. But Bass allotments were not covered in the report in 2009, 2008 or in 2007. At the council meeting of the 14th of September, Mr. Pole was not permitted to speak in the open forum due to it being too late for him to speak at 7:30 after the people from Lincolnshire County Council had spoken. It was reported in the meeting that Mr. Bramley would have a lease to the parish council by the 25th of September. The council agreed to give him until the 25th of September to provide the new lease. On the 25th of September, Mr. Pole went into the parish council offices to see if the lease had arrived, to be told no, it had not. The clerk was going to telephone him.